Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast. I'm your host, Sydney, and I'm here with my co-host, Martin, who is going to say an appropriate introduction.
Not. Hey, guys.
Thank you. We have a lot to talk about in the show. We usually do one on Sunday, but we didn't because the Mavs hadn't played in a week. But now, all of a sudden, everything is going crazy, and it's all burning down. So we're going to talk about all of the Kristaps trade rumors. The Mavericks actually have a game tonight against the Celtics. Kristaps won't be playing, but we will do a post-game pod in case anything major happens or just to recap the game. Our post-game podcast is Dallas Hoops Gamecast, so wherever you're listening, make sure you search Dallas Hoops Gamecast and subscribe or follow that. Okay, so let's get into just everything that is going on, and I'll do a quick recap, and then I'm just going to shoot it to you to see what your tinfoil hat theory is. Okay, yesterday, a report came out that the Mavericks were quietly gauging the trade market for Kristaps Porzingis. A quote from the article from Bleacher Report said, "They've kicked the tires on everybody on their roster that's not named Luka. They've definitely sniffed around on him. They're taking the temperature because they know at some point it's going to come around." So it wasn't like he's on the trading block or they're actively shopping him or anything. It was just they're trying to gauge his market value. And so I was like, okay, I mean, sure. I'm sure that happens a lot. And then Kristaps didn't play because of lower back soreness, which is like a load of crap. Because what?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that just at least say it's his knee or something if you're trying to, hide something. We just thought it's because it was a back-to-back. And then things just kind of heated up today. All of this kind of came together and we all started theorizing he's not playing tonight again due to lower back stiffness or tightness or soreness. And so now it's like Kristaps is getting traded and that's pretty much it. I mean, and so I'll go over to you. Like, do you think there's anything to this? What's your thoughts on what's going on?
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you just look at history of this league, when rumors start coming out, at some point, the actual trade starts to happen. Mm-hmm. There's only so many secrets you can keep. At the very least, they probably told teams he's no longer untradeable.
Yeah.
At the very least, that's what this means. So I definitely think there's something to it. I think it's been brewing for a while, both from Porzingis camp and the Mavericks side, because I don't think he's really happy with the Mavericks. Based on just, various things. If you've heard this podcast before, you know how I feel about the whole Porzingis thing.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's real talk.
Well, you read into his
body language,
everything a lot. Like you talk about things like when Luka takes a three that you think Kristaps thinks is a bad shot, that his whole body language changes.
Oh, you
or
can
something.
see it.
I mean, I don't always see that.
Yeah,
but you.
I've shown you though. Some highlights where that comes up, where his body language, but that's just such a small thing. I think the main frustration from his side, and I don't have any sources or anything like that, this is what I see. I think the main frustration is he doesn't like his role in the offense, and he doesn't like the way the Mavericks offense is designed. You would think it would be a dream for a shooter, but he's not really, in his mind, a catch-and-shoot shooter kind of guy.
That's not all he is.
Right. In his mind, he's a give me the ball, let me go to work.
Yeah.
And he hasn't shown that in Dallas. Now, a lot of that could be because in the back of his head, every time he dribbles, he can hear Carlisle, no, and so he probably stumbles around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just like taking it back a few steps of whether or not Kristaps wants to be traded, I'm still a little skeptical on whether or not this is all true, or if now we're reading into everything. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, Kristaps isn't playing again and it's lower back soreness. And it's like, that just seems like a load of crap to me. And then, Carlisle has his post-game presser and he's like, he is fiery. I mean, he's taken shots at pretty much everybody asking him questions. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then he's got his pregame presser today and he said, no trades have been explored. We expect him to be here. And it's like, what does that mean? We expect him to be. Well, of course, if you're not exploring a trade, then he's going to be here. Like, what does that mean? You expect him to be here. So it's like, I feel like the signs are there, but maybe we're just going crazy,
Well, another thing to consider is we didn't hear anything about this back problem.
Carlisle said he's had it off and on.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, unless it was a back-to-back.
Never heard of it. They would say injury management, whatever.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything about him having lower back soreness. He also says it's not a major injury, so we assume he'll be back soon. Yeah. So the 9 days off didn't help you recover from the sore back. Okay, but even take that aside, how come we never heard about it until the very same day that trade rumors come out?
Yeah.
So what are the chances that this mysterious injury that comes out of nowhere, that's really a minor, that's not really an injury, but it gives you an excuse to sit a guy without raising questions. Yeah. That very same day, there are these rumors that he might be on the trading block.
Okay, but let's explore that. Let's say they made up the injury in order to sit him while they try to trade him. Well, do they need to hide the fact that they're trading him? I mean, I guess,
yes.
So from a locker morale point of view or from a value point of view, I mean, is there a reason for them to lie? And I mean, I guess you never want to say, yeah, we're shopping him.
Of course, you can't. Yeah. One that just, because what if you don't get a good trade?
Yeah.
And now you're stuck with him and he knows. Yeah, exactly. So no, you got to make sure it doesn't get out until it actually happens.
But then also, why say lower back? To me, that's too suspicious. At least say it's a sore knee. Like, that would be believable. I feel like saying it's a lower back, it's too fishy.
What I think they were trying to do, they obviously had no idea these rumors were about to get leaked.
I guess.
Because what I think they were trying to do was create a situation that causes the least amount of alarms. And a lower back tightness doesn't really create any, he's just out. Yeah, it's not serious. If they came out and said he had a sore knee, everybody would be talking about it, and everybody would be tweeting about it and freaking out.
It would bring even more attention to the situation.
And so I think the lower back tightness was just a way of
blow it off.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, once it got leaked, that's like the number one excuse to sit a guy when you're trying to trade him.
Yeah.
and it just happened to come out the same time these rumors came out. So I don't know. Look, I obviously am for trading Porzingis for the right, the right trade package. I think they will trade him. I don't know if that's going to be this year. It might be the summertime.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to be with the Mavs long term.
Yeah, I mean, another thing about this, so you could look at the report and be like, okay, is this particular report even true? Like, let's take out their excuses for sitting him. Is this report even trustworthy? It's not from Woj or Mark Stein or guys like that. But, according to the report, he's talking to executives, GMs, assistant GMs, assuming he's not completely lying and pulling a Stephen Glass here. Like, the sources are legit. Like, he's talking to people who would know. So from that point of view, I think it's believable. But at the same time, what they're saying, they've sniffed around, they're kicking the tires on everybody not named Luka, they're gauging the trade market. To me, that's not extremely dramatic. That's not saying a lot. That probably happens all the time. It's just because it's Kristaps, it's easy to sell that headline.
Yeah, it's better if you can do all that without it being leaked. Because then it doesn't create drama. Like, if you have opened up the trade possibilities for Porzingis, it'd be great if nobody knew that. Mm-hmm. So that way, it doesn't become an issue. It doesn't mean that they're actively searching for trade partners.
Yeah.
But another team can offer something to them, and they won't shut the door on them because it's Kristaps Porzingis.
Well, and I also think that gauging his market value is more just if the opportunity comes up where someone makes an offer or someone becomes available, they know what he's worth. Mm-hmm. They know if it's a good package or not a good package. So, I mean, again, that means
but how does that not mean they're
they're leaning more towards being open to trading him, but it still doesn't say that they're actively shopping him, like you said. I just, I think that compounded with, he sat last night, he's sitting again tonight. It's a, crap injury from our point of view, at least as fans. We're not doctors, but I think it's just all compounding. Like, it's these little bitty things that when you put it together, it feels like a lot.
Like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah. And we got a lot of smoke.
So the other thing is they play again on Thursday. And if they sit him again because of lower back tightness, I feel like that's it. Yeah. Like, everyone's going to know what's going on. Even if it's true, like, I don't know, can lower back tightness last that long? Would you sit for that long because of it? I don't know. But I feel like if they do it again on Thursday, then that's pretty much the cat's out of the bag.
And the problem with Carlisle's comments, we don't expect it to be serious.
Yeah, we don't expect it to last long.
We don't expect it to last long. Basically, he opened themselves up for even more.
Yeah, because, he didn't say exactly.
Yeah. And the problem is, like I said, he had 8 days off. Mm-hmm. So when did the injury occur?
Is it even an injury?
Yeah.
Or did he just wake up with a tight back?
When did it occur? Like, if it occurred while they were off and you had a week off and then he still has to have 3 additional days off. So let's say those games were never canceled. Would he have missed those games too? And so now we're talking about 7 games missed or whatever the amount would be.
Is that worse than them trading
him? Is that
him?
not a serious problem? You know, I don't know. So I think it's a little suspicious, and all these little nuggets that keep getting dropped, it starts adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence. I think that there are definitely signs that you could put together and say this means that they're willing to trade him, or even that they are actively trying to trade him. But I think there's also a chance that we're just all going crazy. And okay, so then the next question, like we've talked about, does Kristaps even fit here? And you talked about how maybe he's not happy. Like, should they trade Kristaps? Is that actually the best option? Like, what would you want to trade him for to make it worth it?
Well, I don't know what you can get in return for him. And I think that's probably what the Mavericks thought is as well. They just don't know because they don't know what his value is, because, there might be some teams out there that still believe he has a chance of being a franchise player. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if you find that team, trade him to them because you'll get a lot in return. So I don't really know what they can get. My concerns with him is his contract, injury history, and defensive liabilities.
Yeah.
And I don't care what he does offensively. Those 3 things
it's the defense.
Negate anything he can do on the offensive end of the court. Yeah. And let's just be honest, he's not even that good offensively. He has games. He has moments
where he plays really well within the offense. He moves. He is, but then he has 10 games where he just wants to post up 20 times a game.
So all those considered, the contract, the injury history, the defense, plus the constant thinking about, he's always feeling his way into a situation.
He thinks too much.
To me, I don't want anything to do with him.
Like, you're done.
I'm done. I was done with him a couple weeks ago when we had a pod.
I think it's too soon, which is the same thing I said a few weeks ago. But I think it's too soon.
What more do you want to see? Like, we saw him defensively. He can't guard the pick and roll. Period.
The defense, I think, is kind of what maybe sells me on, like, okay, this isn't going to work. But I think it's also because I want to see maybe if they got a second star, maybe, it doesn't hurt you as much. And maybe they're just relying on him too much.
Okay, but then you're paying him max money to be a role player.
Yeah, that I don't really, I don't care about the contracts.
But if you have a guy that can't get on the court, you have a Kevin Love situation.
Yeah.
Like, no one will take Kevin Love because of his age and because of his injuries.
And his contract.
And that's compounded with the contract that he has. So you could end up getting stuck with a guy for 5 years, taking $30 million of your salary cap, really hindering what you can do with your team to build around Luka. By the time his contract is up, Luka may be ready to go.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can risk that. I think you got to move on. I don't know what you're going to get in return. It would be nice if you can put a really pretty package together with Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis, maybe Hardaway, and bring back a Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine or somebody on that level. I don't obviously think they're going to do that, But that, to me, is what you would want. I think you can also talk to the Hawks because they have a decision to make with John Collins. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, John Collins is a better player than Kristaps Porzingis. He is. He's just a better player than Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah. He can stay healthy. He shoots way more efficiently, over 50% from the floor and over 40% from three, which you thought you were going to get from Porzingis.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't have the reputation for being a shooter, but he's a better shooter than Porzingis.
Yeah, this report actually says that if John Collins reaches restricted free agency, the Mavericks will make a significant offer to him. And you talked about his contract. One of the sources in the article said that the contract was a problem. He said, I can't remember if it was a GM. I think it was a GM, but he said that that's not a contract that he would want to take on. Mm-hmm. And they talked about his defense too. One Western Conference executive said, it looks like it's impossible for him to get in a stance. He looks like a scarecrow out there. You don't expect him to necessarily be great from the jump, but I've watched Porzingis a couple times this year, and I'm not sure the guy can guard anybody.
Okay, and that's my point.
So if you're gauging his market value, then
and if you're the Mavs, you got to get rid of him now, or you will be stuck with him. You would have to give away more pieces. Yeah. At this point, you're just adding Porzingis to a Jalen Brunson trade, essentially.
That's hurtful.
It sounds hurtful, but that's apparently how the GMs feel.
Depending on who you talk to. There might be another GM that feels differently.
Okay, well, you find that one.
Trade with
yes, you find that one. But to me, you got to get rid of him quickly. You cannot get stuck with this contract, and it hinders your team's ability to improve or get better.
Okay, do you want to throw your bold trade prediction out there?
Which one was it? I had a million.
The Celtics.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't even know if I would consider it a prediction as more of a pipe dream.
Oh, okay.
But I would because the thing is, the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum thing, they're both great players. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that Boston, though, is untradeable on the Jaylen Brown, maybe even the Jason Tatum thing, but specifically the Jaylen Brown. But that combination, they've been together now for 4 or 5 years, really haven't improved. In fact, they've gone the opposite direction.
As a team. They've individually gotten better.
But as a team, they've gotten worse.
They're like 500 right now.
Exactly. And so you can only keep a core together so long that doesn't win. At some point, Boston has to ask themselves, look, Jaylen Brown is a really good player, but something's not working.
Is he the right player?
Exactly. And so to me, maybe you try and sell them on Porzingis. They need a big. Mm-hmm. They have zero size. They're playing Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson. So if you put a package together of Tim Hardaway, Jalen Brunson, Porzingis for Jaylen Brown and Tristan Thompson, take back that contract or whatever, maybe Boston might be interested in that.
Yeah, so Hardaway, he's an expiring deal, so I feel like he doesn't have a whole lot of trade value.
Well, unless the team is wanting salary cap. Boston might want.
That's true.
Boston's a destination.
Yeah.
So if the Mavericks can find a way to give them max cap space for this summer, mm-hmm. and they have Porzingis, maybe they'd be more willing to do it.
Yeah, because I was going to say I think you'd have to throw in maybe instead of Hardaway, Josh Richardson.
Throw him in
or
there.
Maybe Hardaway is the better player. Maybe
give him all of them.
Him.
Take them all. At this point, you need a second star.
Yeah.
You just
need
a
second shot creator.
Yes, you need that. And you can worry about building the rest of the pieces later, but you can't really go anywhere until you get that secondary reliable star.
So you had this theory came up because they're playing the Celtics tonight, and
it just
Kristaps
reminded me.
Playing.
Yeah, it just reminded me of. Well, before I found out Kristaps was out.
Oh yeah.
It reminded me of the whole Dennis Smith Jr. and New York Knicks.
Yeah.
My theory was, if Porzingis comes out and drops a 30-piece and looks really efficient and looks better on defense, maybe giving Danny Ainge this idea, okay, maybe he's just not trying on defense, which is my personal opinion. A lot of times he doesn't try. That maybe like Dennis Smith, who had a triple-double the night he played the New York Knicks, and then that night he got traded to the New York Knicks. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking, but then finding out he's out, I don't know. I know Danny Ainge is a gunslinger. He's willing to move. Yeah, he's willing to move on if he doesn't think it's going to work. And if you can give them Porzingis and find a way to give them cap space for this summer, I think that makes it more appealing, and you give them cap space by taking back their long-term deals, giving them Hardaway and Richardson, and you give them Porzingis, so they have a big. They have Tatum and Walker, and then they can add maybe DeMar DeRozan this summer.
Yeah, and I think Kristaps fits with them
fits
too.
better.
I mean, not that we need to go too far down this road because it is just a theory. It's one of those fan trade ideas.
But you did hear it here first.
Oh, yeah.
If it does happen, you heard it here first.
I mean, I like it. Like, one reason why I've been hesitant to trade Kristaps is because I want to get max value. Like, they need a second star, and I want to get that star with Kristaps if that's their trade piece. But, I keep hearing, like, Kristaps isn't worth that and all that. So if they were able to get Jaylen Brown, who's averaging 25 points a game this year, good defender, then I think, I'd be okay with that. I think he's a really good fit, and it's a fair trade for both teams. It's, like, Hardaway is expiring anyway. There's no, it's not surefire that he's going to stay. So, I mean, I like that trade, but it's just a theory. The other rumor is that the Mavs are interested in Andre Drummond, which we've talked about before on the pod. I actually, on our website, DallasHoopsCast.com, I just published an article asking the question, like, does Andre Drummond even fit? Because they've been linked to him if he's bought out by Cleveland. I know a lot of Mavs fans want him. We've talked about him. So I was like, I mean, does he actually fit aside from the, double-doubles and the rebounds and all that? Like, can he play in this system? And so I go read that article to get all the numbers, but it's
basically he doesn't.
He doesn't fit. That's the punchline. But you can find out
Took
why.
a while for her to get there, but that's the point.
Well, I didn't want to ruin the punchline so that they can go read it.
Nah, he doesn't
Your face.
fit.
Okay. So they've been linked to Andre Drummond. Do you think that's going to happen? Obviously, that's more like pairing Drummond with Kristaps.
Which
do you think
makes
of that
no
plan?
sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I can't imagine them doing that now. The only reason I think they might is if they are willing to move on from Porzingis and they want to see other options at center. Maybe Drummond will work better with Luka. And
Drummond is a lot like Porzingis on offense.
Yes.
Though.
So
he's a post-up player.
I'm just saying,
he's actually worse than Porzingis.
Yeah.
On offense.
All I'm saying is I don't see it. And the Mavericks have said they will not trade for him because it would make no sense to.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
But if he's somebody that gets bought out and you can pick up, maybe you can turn it around for him. And the Mavericks have a good reputation of getting guys that are kind of unwanted in the league nowadays and keeping them.
Yeah.
Now, they seem to think that makes them awesome, but that just means they have a team full of guys that nobody else wants, and they're not very good.
Yeah. But, they want them.
The Mavericks show these advanced numbers and say, hey, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah. I think with Drummond, it would be more to put him with Kristaps. And while I don't think that's a good fit at all, I understand the whole, low risk, not necessarily high reward, but low risk, medium reward. He would be cheap. It would be for not too long. I mean, you might as well try it.
I think they might be willing to do that as an experiment, to see if maybe that does work and they can keep Porzingis.
Yeah.
It will give it one last thing. We'll put Drummond out there with him and let's see what happens. And maybe that helps.
Another idea, DeMarcus Cousins just got waived today, and they've been linked to Cousins in the past a few years ago before his injuries and all that, but they were linked to him, and then I think it's just kind of a natural fit as a rumor that they might be interested in getting him once he clears waivers, because he's not a lot like Drummond in terms of style, but, he's the big man. He could play center. He would fill the same role.
I was never a big Cousins fan, but at this point I'm desperate for a guy that can put the ball in the basket from a pass from Luka. Yeah. And the one thing Cousins has proven is he can score the ball. He can score the basketball, especially around the basket. And when you play with Luka, you're going to get a lot of shots around the basket. Now, I haven't looked at the advanced numbers like you did with Drummond to see if that's actually a true statement, but that is just the perception of Cousins, is that he was able to score the basketball.
Yeah. This year he did average a little less, 9.5 points and 7.5 rebounds in 20 minutes per game. So, I mean, he's coming off the torn ACL and, another major injury. So he's not the same player that averaged 27 points a game, I know the Mavs would probably sell him as that, but he's not. Yeah.
I would rather have Cousins than Drummond. If we're going to pair anybody with Porzingis.
Why do you say that?
Because I think at least offensively, it makes the Mavericks still good. I think when you add Drummond and Porzingis, you got two guys out there that want to do their thing.
Yeah.
And not the Mavericks thing.
Now, there were reports that Cousins didn't like playing behind Christian Wood. Now, obviously on the Mavs he would start, but does that say something about the how big of a role he would want on this team that he probably wouldn't get?
Well, he might though.
He might get that role.
He might get that role. Like, look, we saw...
That would just make Kristaps even more upset.
Well, yes, but we saw games recently where Porzingis found himself on the bench.
Yeah.
Late in a game or late in the first half because defensively, he just doesn't have the effort there defensively. And he's just not very good offensively. Let's just be honest. Like, he's just not. He's not a efficient scorer. He's really a high volume scorer. But I think Cousins might have a bigger role here than he would have with Houston.
Yeah, I was going to say, for being a big man, like his career shooting is little less than 46%. Which isn't terrible, except when you consider that he plays a lot back to the basket and rim rolling.
Yes.
Yeah, he does shoot threes now, but still, it's kind of a low shooting percentage.
The highest 3-point percentage he ever had was with 39%, and that was his last year with New York.
No, I meant DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 40, but yeah, so Cousins, though, he does shoot three. So again, I haven't looked at the advanced numbers, but I know based on when he played the Mavericks, even this year, when he averages 9 points, he had like 30 against Dallas, which is he's one of those guys against Dallas that, he just has a career night. Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's better than Drummond, though.
Yeah, I'm not sold on DeMarcus Cousins or Andre Drummond.
Yeah,
but
and don't get me wrong, I don't think either one of those guys are the answer.
True, yeah. And like I was going to say, it's a low risk thing.
Yeah.
If they get him, it's not because they're super great or they're going to be here long term. It's more just like, well, they're available, let's give it a shot. But I wouldn't be excited about either one. But
I think the Mavs might have a good shot of John Collins, not in free agency. If you're going to get John Collins, you have to get him via trade. Because if he gets traded, obviously the team that trades for him is willing to match whatever contract that he's going to get offered. So even if you're intending on offering him a max deal, if he got traded, the team that's trading for him in their mind is like, hey, we're trading him with the idea that we're going to match whatever because we think he's going to be part of our long-term plans.
You think John Collins is a better fit than, any of these three guys that we've mentioned, including Kristaps?
Yes.
Just because of his style?
He's more efficient. He can shoot threes. He's also a lob threat.
I think he plays better within a system. Like, he plays the way that Kristaps should play, the way Kristaps plays when he's playing well, that off-the-ball movement, that John Collins does that.
Well, and the thing is, Collins already does that well. He has Trae Young, who is a really good passer, like Luka, and finds him open. So he is thriving in that same kind of style right now. Yeah. I think that would be, and I'd be willing to trade Porzingis for him.
For John Collins? I mean, I don't know Porzingis' value, and I think, like you said, the Mavs don't either, which is why they're doing this. It's really fuzzy for Porzingis. You don't know what he's worth. Yeah. So I feel like I would want a little more than John Collins for Porzingis, but it's possible
he's just not going to get it. Yeah. Now,
I don't know.
I think you're adding expiring deals with Porzingis. So the Hardaway expiring deal and Josh Richardson and even James Johnson, that's $10 million that's expiring. True. We forgot all about him. So you have the ability to give a team, Kristaps Porzingis, and potentially open up cap space for a max deal.
And I wonder if with the Hawks, normally I don't know if cap space would matter to them, but I wonder if it does since they just got a few big contracts. Maybe they could use that cap space to kind of, fill in some role players now that they've got these heavy contracts.
Yeah, and I don't think the Hawks intended on keeping any of the guys that they signed. Remember, that was my theory. I think both Gallinari and the Hawks the Hawks were doing it to get assets to trade to bring in a player that actually fits. And Gallinari was doing it to get the big contract and then get traded to a team that's actually good.
Okay, I want to just really quickly Shams.
Just say Shams.
Tweeted.
Okay.
His sources for the NBA All-Star reserves. So I feel like I'll share them here.
Watch Porzingis be on there.
Breaking news. No. Okay, so in the West, the All-Star reserves are Chris Paul, Paul George, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Zion Williamson. Is that surprising to you at all? And Anthony Davis. Wait, where's LeBron? Wait, hold on.
He's a starter.
Oh, okay. I was like, hold on. Okay,
these are the reserves.
Idiot. Duh. Okay. Wait, okay, so Zion Williamson, do you think Brandon Ingram maybe over?
Perhaps.
That is a little surprising to me.
I'm surprised DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan. Surprised he didn't make it. Now I have to think of all the guys in the West that I think maybe deserved it more.
Jamal Murray.
Devin Booker? Devin Booker isn't on this list.
Then that can't be right.
No, this cannot be right.
No.
There's no way
Devin Booker didn't make the All-Star game.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it would be, he's a guard, so it would be.
So you're telling me Chris Paul made it over Devin Booker?
Chris Paul and Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. Devin Booker, I think he should be an All-Star. And DeMar DeRozan, the Spurs are good this year. I mean, no one talks about them because of the Spurs, but they're good and he's been good. And I'm sure there's someone else I'm forgetting here that
what they gotta do is get rid of the positions and just pick the best players, because in this case Zion is an all-star and Devin Booker's not.
I mean, and Brandon Ingram on his own team. Like, I feel like Zion isn't even the best player on his own team.
Well,
now, don't get me wrong.
I think Pelicans fans would disagree with that.
Okay. Zion Williamson has been a lot better than I thought he would be coming out of college. I thought he was going to be a bust because his size and all that stuff. He's been really great, and so this isn't like oh God, he should never be an all-star, but I'm just surprised that he got in over some other guys.
That's the problem. Like, I'm not surprised that he's an all-star, but I'm just surprised that he made it only because of his position. There was less players in his position that qualified.
Maybe that's why.
Because Booker should have been an all-star.
Yeah,
Devin Booker, and with all due respect to Chris Paul, Devin Booker should be above him. And
Booker
not only
is the star on that team.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Paul has been great, but he's not averaging 25, 26 a game like Devin Booker is. Now, at the same time, you could make the argument the Suns weren't very good last year. They had Devin Booker.
True.
They add Chris Paul. They're now freaking fourth in the West.
Yeah.
But these are coaches and GMs, and they all love them some Chris Paul, except they don't want his contract.
Okay, so that's the West. So Damian Lillard got in, so we can all shut up about that. I mean, obviously I'm a Mavs fan, but I think Luka should have started over Damian Lillard.
Well, I mean, he got the start, so he should be starting.
He got voted in,
and that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, and I know people talk about the record and all of that, and
they don't say anything about Bradley Beal.
Yeah, or actually, you know what? Okay, so let's do the East. James Harden, Julius Randle, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, Nikola Vucevic, Trae Young.
Trae Young's not on there?
Did not make it. That is also interesting.
With all due respect to Trae Young, he shouldn't have been a starter last year.
That's true. But he's not even in it at all this year. I mean, gosh, that's got to be the biggest drop-off for a guy whose numbers basically did not change.
And the team's record is actually better.
Yeah, true.
Than last year.
I mean, they're still not good, but
it was better than it was last year.
Maybe last year he just got a free pass.
Apparently, but I mean, like, Bradley Beal is a starter over who are they reserved over James Harden?
So Bradley Beal's not in either.
Oh, he's the starter.
Oh, he's the starter. Yeah,
yeah.
You're right.
Bradley Beal's a starter. Yeah. So
over James Harden,
nobody's complaining about that.
I bet people will be upset about that, though.
The record of the Wizards, but you haven't heard any noise about it. It's all about Lillard.
Yeah.
For as much as attention Lillard gets, I'm surprised that they still consider him not getting attention. Like, that's all they freaking talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
He gets attention. The attention that he gets is that he doesn't get any attention.
No, the stupid thing, Lillard gets plenty of attention.
Yeah.
Like, he is a mega star. He's always on Sports Center.
Yeah.
Like, this whole idea that Lillard's always snubbed. When is Lillard going to be held accountable for not winning in the playoffs?
Do you think Luka is getting a free pass right now for, record and all that?
A free pass? I mean, well, yes, I do. Every player on his level and All-Stars, they're given a free pass their first 6 years. Giannis won back-to-back MVPs. He will not win another MVP unless he wins a championship.
Yeah.
He was given the free pass. James Harden, same free pass. And now he doesn't get a free pass. Luka will get the same treatment. He'll get a free pass, but after 6 years, and they continue to hover around 500, and they don't, advance anywhere in the playoffs, people will stop talking about him. They'll start talking about him like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, people talk about, the tide is kind of starting to turn on Luka a little bit.
So quickly.
Clearly, the media and GMs and fans, they all still respect Luka and hold him in high regard because he got voted in by all of those groups. But there is starting to be a little more talk about how he can't get it done, his team isn't good enough. And, it's like he's in his third year. But like you said, you don't really hear that about a Damian Lillard.
No.
Who, that
what
team
has
isn't very
Lillard
good.
done in his career for us to sit here and talk about how he should be a perennial starter?
Do you think that Lillard and Luka are held to a different standard?
Of course, I do. I think
you have a theory on that.
Well, there are certain players that are given a free pass, and there are certain players that are not. And I think subconsciously we hold some players to a higher standard. They don't get that free pass
because we
think they should lead their teams to the championship every year.
Because we know how great they are.
Exactly. And then there's some players who are really good. They're always on Sports Center, always on highlight reels, always hitting game winners, but we don't expect them to win the championship.
Yeah.
And that's where Lillard is.
Yeah.
And since Lillard is not expected subconsciously in our heads for him to win a championship because he's just not good enough, he gets a free pass. I've never seen a guy not have any success in the playoffs, and we just love him. Whereas other players like Harden and Durant and LeBron and Dirk, all these players,
they get torched.
They get torched for not winning. Even Kobe, after Shaq left for those years, got torched because he didn't win. Yet Damian, free pass.
Okay, so Lillard has had success in the playoffs. He's ended two series with a buzzer beater, which is pretty insane. But I understand what you're saying. He made it to the conference finals once, right?
One time.
Yeah, one time. And
in 10 years.
That was sort of fluky because that was a miracle. And
they got swept.
Yeah. Other than that, they're generally a first or second round exit. And it's an interesting point that guys like Luka or like LeBron or Harden, it's like they get torched if they don't carry their team to a championship every single year. Whereas other guys, you don't hear them get talked about that way. And I think, like you said, we know that LeBron could do that, or people already know that Luka can do that. And so they hold him to that standard. Whereas other guys, we know they can't. So we don't hold him to the same standard.
Curry was getting torched because of his playoff performances while he was winning championships.
Yeah. That's when you know that he's great. Yeah.
Yes, that's the standard that you hold him to.
Yeah.
And look, I understand those two series that Lillard ended at the buzzer. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Really cool. It is really cool.
It's amazing.
But you need to do that again in the next round. And then in the next round, and then in the next round, you have to
He did disappear in
after that OKC series. He was a non-factor. CJ McCollum won the series against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So and then against the Golden State Warriors, they got swept. They weren't even a competition for the Warriors, and the Warriors weren't even that good that year.
Yeah.
So, but another point I was going to say about that, and I think I forgot what it was.
Well, I think it's like a sign of respect. That you could take it as a sign of respect.
One of the things,
that people in his third year, people already hold Luka to that standard.
And I think it's funny that these Luka haters, in their reasons why he's not as good, is they compare him to the first 3 years of Durant, LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so the fact that you're even comparing him, like, you never compare Lillard to LeBron.
No one does that with Lillard.
Yes.
No one says, well, when LeBron was in his 8th year, he was winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no one says that.
No one's comparing Lillard to what LeBron did in his 10th season.
Yeah.
So, but Luka is like, well, LeBron in his 3rd season, their team went to the playoffs. Okay. The second season they didn't, and Luka did.
Thank you for the comparison.
Yeah, or maybe he did. I don't remember anymore. I know they went 500 or something in LeBron's 2nd year. But the point is, the fact that you're even comparing him is showing that you do hold him at least a higher level, because no one's ever comparing. I got so irritated with the whole Lillard thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why he gets a free pass for not leading his team to at least the finals.
I mean, I think that Lillard should be a perennial all-star. I think he's a great player, especially for what he does in the playoffs. Now, he hasn't had sustained success in the playoffs. I think notably was the series you talked about against the Nuggets and the Warriors, but he's done some really great things. He should be an all-star every year.
So did Luka last year in his first playoff performance.
But I think it's fine for Luka to be voted in as a starter, especially for an all-star, because it's the fans who vote. So, I mean, it is what it is. We voted him in. And then, maybe...
I didn't even vote.
Yeah. Well, and maybe he gets a free pass because he's still young. And so, we let him grow a little bit. And then maybe we hold him to and he won't be a starter. Who knows? But then also, I think that's a great point, that we hold certain players to a higher standard because we know they can reach those expectations. And when they don't, we're disappointed because they know we can do it. Whereas with other guys, we don't hold them. Like, no one's talking about Zach LaVine or Damian Lillard or Julius Randle or any of these other guys about how they're disappointing, because
they don't even say that about Bradley Beal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Bradley Beal is it's funny with all those guys that they don't hold to that standard. They always use the excuse of their team. Their team's just not good enough.
They don't do that with LeBron or Dirk.
No.
Or Luka.
Dirk got killed.
Yeah.
Dirk was so good that his teams would win 50 games, but they weren't very good. And so when they were in the playoffs, they got beat because they weren't a very good team.
Yeah.
He just happened to be really, really good. They would torch him for it.
Yeah, I really like that theory. I think you're onto something.
Yep.
And I think it is subconscious. I think you're right about that, but I think that's exactly what happens. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We started with the Kristaps trade stuff, and then the All-Star voting. Tweet us your thoughts on these trade rumors. Do you think they're legit? And then if you were going to trade Kristaps, who would you trade him for? I'm on Twitter @_Sydney Myers. The site, the pod is @DallasHoopsCast. We're going to do a post-game pod after the Celtics game, so subscribe to Dallas Hoops Gamecast if you want to listen to those. But I think that's pretty much it. We'll just have to see what happens with this whole trade thing. I don't know. Like I said, they have a game on Thursday, and if they sit him again because of back soreness, I feel like that's kind of it. Like, we would sort of know. And you know what? It could be true that he really does have back soreness, but at this point, we've all just gone crazy.
Yeah, and another thing, his girlfriend sending that cryptic...
I wasn't
picture.
Cryptic.
Like,
they were
weird.
chilling in the sun. We chilled in the sun.
It's weird timing. It's weird timing.
Why
to
do you
send
think it's weird
timing?
timing?
Look at me. These trade rumors don't bother me. I'm sitting on the top of my mansion.
Maybe because he knows they're not true.
Yeah. Well, then, I don't know.
Good for him.
Yeah. Good for him. I'm right. You're wrong.
All right. That's it. Thank you guys for listening. That I mentioned that Andre Drummond article. It's on DallasHoopsCast.com. That's our website. It's the only Dallas Mavericks blog on the internet, so make sure you check it out.
I don't know. Can we get sued for that? Like,
no, it's true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it is true. Yeah. This is also the only Dallas Mavericks podcast
I'm done.
On the web.
Thanks, guys.
On the net. So, okay. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.